Kojo, who joins us for News Review this morning?
Well, we've been joined by Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He is head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Also joining him is a student and colleague lecturer, Dr. Jabir Mohammed. He is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, and also a fellow lecturer, Dr. Kwesi Eduafol Abeidu. He is a development analyst. These three gentlemen are joining us for us to go into what the papers are reporting this morning.
Well, so they all join us via Zoom, and we want to say good morning to you all. Do I have Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante? Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Madam, and how are you? Good morning to Kojo and my colleagues, of course. I greet also our viewers and listeners.
Thank you, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Do we have Dr. Jabri Mohammed with us?
Yeah, good morning, sweetie, and good morning to everybody at the studio and my colleagues, and good morning to all Ghanaians.
Yeah. Well, Ghanaians are thankful. And Dr. Abeidu, good morning to you as well.
Good morning, sweetie, and good morning to Kojo.
Okay.
Kojo is a long-time friend way back at the University of Cape Coast.
Doc, you have some interference with your microphone, so perhaps you can fix that. Let me start with Dr. Jabri Mohammed. Doc, it's time for you to share your thoughts with us, reflections on any topical issue that has caught your eye. You have 2 minutes to do that. Dr. Jabri Mohammed.
Thank you, sweetie. I think within this week, I saw that there has been some work ongoing regarding our street light. I used the Kanda Highway this week for about 2 times. I've seen some vehicles working on it. However, there is still a lot of work to be done, especially regarding our traffic lights. If you look at some of the parts of Accra, especially at the road leading to Lagos and other places, you would notice that some of the traffic lights are off. Airport Junction has a traffic light being off for some time now. And some gentlemen are standing there directing traffic. If you go to Shashi, the same thing, sometimes even Okungulu. So I think that authorities must begin to fix some of these things. These are basic things. At the Ministry of Interior, I saw that there is not even a traffic light that is going to stop people and direct people into the entrance of the ministry, which is, to me, is very bad. Yesterday, I had a very bad experience there, even almost clashing with IGP and his entourage. So I think that these are basic necessities that Ghanaians are looking for. So I will entreat the Ministry of Road and Highway. I will entreat the AMA and other agencies that are responsible for ensuring that our streets are safe for us to be able to drive. So I will plead with them to work on some of these basic things, because this is what we see, and this is what we have to experience as Ghanaians. We do not want to be experiencing some of these bad things. Sometimes people want to cross the road and they cannot even cross. There is a zebra crossing there, but there is no street light to direct people to be able to, there is no any traffic light to direct them to cross the zebra crossing.
Right.
And these things happen basic in most advanced countries. So let's begin to work on some of these things and fix them so that Ghanaians can have a safe environment to move about their daily businesses.
Right. And I mean, because we are launching 24-hour economy today, that call is very important. We need the lights on the streets so that we can actually work 24 hours. But just a little bit, in addition to what you're saying, I saw that they were fixing the CCTV, I don't know what, camera on the Achimota stretch as well. So there is work ongoing, like you said. Now, let me get to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Doc, it's time for us to hear your thoughts for us this morning.
Yeah, Sweetie, thanks for the opportunity. I want to tie 2 things together and make it snappy for everybody so that we can continue. I want to look at the national prayer and then the tall list of holidays in Ghana. Let's look at the national prayer. There's nothing wrong that at a point in time, you remember your maker, you give thanks. No problem about it. But, you know, when you give thanks without patriotism is empty. Thanks without dedication to work. Thanks without hard work, without discipline, without results-oriented human beings at play, working. And of course, thanks without people holding their leaders accountable. Thanks without, fighting against corruption, I'm afraid it's a waste of everybody's time. Yesterday, I saw the program, beautiful program. But see, let us be honest to ourselves. We go and pray and all that. And the same people, we come and embezzle. We come and engage in corruption. We give cathedral to men of God. They leave us with a hole. I mean, what's the meaning of the prayer then? If we have leaders like this, men of God cannot look at our heads of state and look at them in the face and tell them that you are going wrong when the need arises. They always want to glorify them. No, the time must change now. Men of God should be able to stand firm and deliver. That is why they are distinct from you and I. Then we cannot engage in national prayer when we have so many holidays, 14 holidays. Can you imagine? I'm not saying, we don't need holidays, but there are too many. Holidays such as Boxing Day, I believe, must be expunged. Holidays such as New Year Day must go off. Constitutional Day must go off. Nkrumah's birthday, no. Nkrumah, once you mention Independence Day, Nkrumah is in there and all his friends. So I believe, let us look at the United States, 11 holidays. America, UK 8, Canada 9, Germany 9, France 11. And interestingly, the Netherlands 2. They celebrate one of the holidays, they celebrate it every 5 years. And Switzerland 4. What are we doing to ourselves here? Please, prayer is good, but prayer without all the things I've said is empty. Let us think about our country and defend it at all times.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. That was powerful. In fact, even the Bible says prayer without work is not fruitful. So, yeah, thank you so much. And Dr. Beju, what would be your take for us this morning?
Very well. Quite touched with Dr. Asah-Asante because that's exactly the issue I wanted to also talk about. But I want to really focus or draw the attention of Ghanaians to the speech that was delivered, the sermon that was delivered by His Eminence Peter Cardinal Appiah Turkson. I have listened to the sermon 3 times just this dawn, and I go through a lot of reflections, sweetie. Look, this is the time, in the first place, people should go back and listen to the sermon. Joy News, I know you have it on your platform online. People should go and listen to that sermon once again. Our leaders should go back and re-listen to that sermon once again and really reflect on the issues, on the tenets, and the whatever is in that content, because I feel it gives a deep sense of reflection for us to reset this country and move Ghana forward. People look, we have just 5 years away for us to end the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, 5 years or less. Now look at the 17 goals. Let me take the 17th goal and look at the 16th goals. You realize that most of them, or almost all of them, we are far behind in terms of pursuing them. Talk about poverty reduction, talk about health, talk about education, talk about inclusivity, talk about decent work, talk about climate change, fighting climate change, and all the other environmental issues that we have. Ask yourself, which one of the goals can we hit our chest as a people and say that we have done so well in this area? And so for us, just as Dr. Asah-Asante has stated, it's important we go back and reflect. Let's look at what we are doing wrong as a people. We can't go and always praying to God, shouting to God, while the basic things that we have to do in terms of fighting corruption, in terms of ensuring that we are extending love to each other, in terms of ensuring that we are bringing people into the net of wealth, into the net of a better standard of living. If we are not doing this, then there is no sense there's no point in always going to God, prayer.
All right.
And so that is my little reflection today.
Thank you so much. And Kojo, before you come in, I just want to say it's actually faith without work, not prayer without work. Not to demonstrate I know the Bible small. Kojo, over to you.
Anyway, well, faith without works, yeah? Anyway, good. Now, let's get into the daily graphic. And on the front page of the daily graphic, says, nation stands in prayer, offers thanks, rededicates to good virtues that Dr. Asante and all of our panelists have spoken on it. President charged Ghanaians to embrace common identity. Indian Premier arrives today for state visit. We have media will hold government to account, re-elected GJA president. Memphiman Royal Bank post 42% investment return. Board issues 100% bonus shares to shareholders. So that is the story there. But I got intrigued by a story that talks about, electing MMDCEs. And I want to get the thought of our panel on that. It says, electing MMDCEs, a look at public opinion. Now, on June 18, 2025, President John Mahama said this at the Metropolitan Municipal and District Chief Executives MMDCEs gathering. Quote, you may be the last batch of MMDCEs to be appointed, unquote. This is a sign that the Mahama administration will revisit the issue of electing MMDCEs. Dr. Asante, I mean, we've spoken about this before, but this is quite important because over the years we've said the issue of the president having authoritative powers in appointing almost every office holder in this country is something that we need to deal with, especially when it comes to local level heads. Now, do you have the belief that this time we may get it? And again, for you, what form should it take?
Yeah, I believe that the people who drafted this constitution took a lot of things into consideration, and they did a lot of good. But I also believe that they handed us to, the biblical sea monster of a Leviathan. What I mean by this, that they handed the whole state to a president who has almost all the powers that you can think of. And from Lord Acton's dictum, anybody with power without necessary checks is likely to abuse it. So I have always had the belief that we need to be able to reduce the powers of the president so as to ensure that we glorify that provision in the Constitution that power emanates from the people. It is as if that the president is the one that power emanates from, but we own the power, and we must it must show in all the things that we do. So I believe that that opportunity which Nana Akufo-Addo gave us to look at it from the point of view of a referendum, which would blew it away, I think that we must go back to the drawing board and then see to elect our municipal, metropolitan, and district assembly officials, all right, so that at the end of the day, we will get power emanating from the grassroots to the top. You have at the national level elections, which cut across all the nook and cranny of the country. But at the grassroots, no nomination, appointment, and so forth and so on. Let us have a system which is uniform so that we realize that power is flowing across board. And at the end of the day, we'll have a democracy that will stand the test of time. Because the democracy without the people at the grassroots taking part in electing their leaders from time to time, I'm afraid it is a democracy that doesn't have, the gravitas to be able to stand all the conditions that are against democratic rule. Right. We need to firm this democracy, make sure that we consolidate it, and then we develop what the democracy scholars call the democratic quality.
Thank you, Doctor. And let me go to Dr. Abaidu now. I mean, this conversation is not only starting now. And thankfully, there's a constitutional review underway. So, I mean, our voices, your voice as panelists, development experts, will go a long way if the committee decides to heed them. What do you say to this? Of course, the question is whether to elect them along partisan lines or not, but let's hear your thoughts on the matter.
Very well, thank you, Sweetie. You see, the twist of this issue is also about accountability. Now, what we have currently is that the nominee, the district or the MMDC, the executive, is responsible to the president, whether by structure, by form, or by functionality. What happens is that whatever that he or she does at the district level, he or she feels that obligation to satisfy the interest of the president. However, the people in the communities, the people in the electoral areas are the reasons why the DC or the MMDC is there. And so if the local people do not have a say or are not able to have a say, of course, we know that the various assembly members validate, confirm the nominee or the nomination by the president. However, to what extent are the people able to influence who is to be nominated? And so it is important that among the people, among the locals, they elect their own, someone they feel understands the issues in the communities, someone based on their understanding of the person's knowledge about the communities and the aspirations of the person for the communities or the district. The people elect such a person by themselves so that at the end of the tenure, they'll be able to hold that person accountable for whatever impact that he or she is going to make. And so for us, it is very important. It is not too late yet. We are very happy that, the Constitutional Review Committee currently, the engagement is ongoing. And I know for a fact that these issues have been echoing almost at all the engagement that they are having. It is important that they factor it very seriously and ensure that this time it will not just be about theory, it will not just be on paper, but we actually implement it. Right. I just want the president to be mindful of saying that the current the MMDCs may be the last. The president shouldn't say may. They ought to be the last MMDs you're going to have to be nominated. The rest should be elected.
Thank you. So, Dr. Mohammed, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante says we missed the first opportunity. We should not miss this chance again to do it right. And Dr. Beidou is saying that we should say they must be the last batch who were appointed into office. What do you say?
Well, everybody has their own view. And for me, what is the rationale for electing them? Number two, are we going to have another house for them to be representatives? You see, we have already been electing parliamentarians. What has been the impact of the parliamentarians on the local people? Are the parliamentarians just going to make only the laws for the country? They are representing their people. And mind you, this is a lot of money, additional money we have to commit. And secondly, are we going to have, as I said, are we going to have another house for them? And what is going to be their mandate? Quite distinct from the parliamentarians. Is it that we are going to carve in a particular way of resources that we are going to allocate for them aside the District Assembly Common Fund, which is even something very little that the DCE and even the MP usually fight in terms of that resources. So we have to look at several constraints and several subject to a lot of objectives, subject to a lot of constraints that we need to address as a country. So we need to proactively examine the context within which these people are going to be elected. What are the resource constraints that they will have to have? Because you see, that mantra of political gimmicks will continue to run as a country. But if it does continue to run as a country, what is going to be the benefit to us as a country? So, yes, we always say that let's go and elect them, let's go and elect them. Are they going to be different from the MPs? Are we going to have them on partisan basis? Are we going to tell them that they should just come and be elected like the way we elect the assembly members? Because assembly members are elected. If anything at all, the people have to elect people. They elect the assembly members, and it is the assembly members who go and authenticate who is put there as a district chief executive, because they have to go there and go and validate the person. So it means that even though the DCE is elected, is appointed by the president, indirectly, the people take part in deciding who become the DCE, because they elect the assembly members. The assembly members go there and elect the DCE to represent them. So there is a chain of layer of, election coming from the people themselves.
But Doc, don't you agree that when you allow the DCEs and MMDCEs to be elected, such that one comes to office with his or her own plans, and he knows that if he or she does not deliver on those promises, the people will not renew his or her mandate? Wouldn't that be more beneficial than to say he or she is at the whims and caprices of a president who can appoint and disappoint him at any time?
I'm telling you that, yes, it is good. But the fact of the matter is that we have elected, what do you call it, a parliamentarian. What has the parliamentarian done for them for the 4 years? And also, if you go in the DCE that you are going to elect, what is going to be the resource allocation to the DCE? Because you can elect the person can go with the plans. If the person do not have the resources to execute the plan will never be executed. It's just going to be on paper. Okay. So let's streamline them and see what kind of roles can they play. What is going to be the resource allocation? Are we going to have a separate resource allocation to them, quite distinct from the money that is given to them from the top there, and say that the MP is also MP Common Fund, District Assembly Common Fund, whatever. Are we going to increase the value of the District Assembly Common Fund? And if you are going to increase the value of it, are we going to elect them on partisan basis, or are we going to elect them just anybody at all can stand for it? So let's try to define this thing very well. You see, there is something called mind mapping. We have to map the responsibilities against what we want them to, what we are trying to do. Okay. Sometimes we just say, let's elect. And we elect them, they go and sit there. We don't even map up what they are supposed to do. Look, it will surprise you. If you go to the district assemblies, unless a common fund is in, that is when they begin to do anything. That looks something. You go there, even the district chief executive is not there. The whole building is there. Nobody is even there. You understand the point? So we go and elect them. We don't even have a house. Are we going to have a sub-house of representative? Let's say we have another house that look at a lower house, then we have the parliament, which is the upper house. Are we going to have something like that? So let's be careful with, let's elect. Then all of us, we move there, then we go and elect. At the end of the day, we begin to criticize them that they are not doing A, B, C, D. Meanwhile, you have called for that, and the politicians have done exactly that for you. And when they have done that, they have not empowered them. There are no resource allocation. They don't have the power to generate their own resources, to be able to man their own affairs. So let's look at it from a point of allowing them to generate their own resources, take care of their own activities. Then after that, we move on and say, okay, fine, now let's elect them. They now have the resources.
But so I think that has started, Doc. I'm unsure about the exact figure, but sometime last month or so, we're told that they now get more access. They have more access to the District Assembly Common Fund, and parliamentarians rather now play an oversight responsibility or role in terms of how they disburse or expend those monies. So I think they've started with giving them more control over the funds, and I think that's the step. I think it's just part of the processes that they're going to take so that we can start electing them. But the question really is, compared to the way we do it now, where the president appoints these people in power, where they have to acquiesce to whatever demands the president is making, they are answerable to the president. But if we, the electorates, we citizens, are the ones who put them in office, they're answerable to us. We're talking about decentralization of local government. Is that not a better option compared to what we are doing right now? I mean, comparatively.
I think it's answerable to Ghanaians, because it is us Ghanaians who has elected him. So if you fail to hold the president accountable, then indirectly we are failing to hold the district chief executive accountable.
Well, okay.
If pressure groups mount pressure on them and hold them accountable at the local level, they will go and also hold the president accountable and tell the president that you have not given us A, B, C, D, so you don't expect us to deliver. So I don't see, yes, I think it is just going to be an exercise of, what do you call it, fiduciary powers or whatever it is. But I don't see that to be anything distinct from what is existing.
Okay. All right. Let's do a story on the back page of the Daily Graphic. It says, Goat Board licensing regime enforced goat trading without license crime, according to Samija Mfi. And the story says, new goat trading licensing regime has begun to eliminate illegal goat trading and smuggling across the country. The implementation of the new licensing regime has therefore made it illegal to deal or trade in gold within the country without authorization from the Ghana Gold Board, which holds the exclusive mandate to oversee, buy, sell, assay, refine and export gold, as well as regulate the gold trading sector. Dr. Asante, I mean, your thought on this?
I am very happy that we have a board of this nature and it's beginning to work and work well. Within a short time, we are raking a lot of revenue, starting with $1.7 billion, and then the one from small scale and all that.
Well, Doc, as at yesterday, we raked in $5 billion for the first half of 2025. Yeah.
Here you are. Here you are. I believe that if we are able to manage this sector very well, all right, we should be able to shy away from IMF. We went there for $3 billion. Just within a quarter, we are almost there. So all that we need is financial prudence, and then we make sure that illegal mining is a thing of the past. We wage consistent war on illegal mining and ensure that all the loose ends are tightened up, and then we get the needed revenue. I am very, very happy because what we are seeing, if we continue on that trajectory, I have no doubt in my mind that we'll be able to accumulate and be able to do a lot with it using our own resources. You can never build any state where you continue to have a cap in your hand, globe-trotting, looking for resources to come and build your own society. No, it doesn't work that way. Under state capacity, you should be able to generate new ideas, innovative ideas that you can generate your own resources and run your affairs. Yes, and that is how it ought to be done. So I'm happy with the work Sami Jamfi and his board and the MEF are doing. We want to support them, but when they cross the line, we'll not hesitate to point it out to them.
Talking about crossing the line, Doc, I mean, let's tie this to the issue of Galamsey. For me, I think that's what the gold board is doing would help in a little way, because you can't sell gold that you mine illegally, because gold board now has complete control, central control over this. However, we are hearing that some excavators have gone missing again. It's not the first time this has happened in the country. Let's take a listen to Hannah Bissiw. She was on burning issues on Adom, and this is what she had to say. Have the logistics to move those excavators from where they were seized. And the next day when they went there, they found only 7 out of the 40 excavators. I mean, for the life of me, I cannot understand how we keep coming back to this. But, Doc, add this to your reflections for me.
I think that they have to, get the basis right. This is not unacceptable at all. If you look at from Boateng's report, which people bastardized and all that, today the reality is done on us here. These are some of the problems that confronted the Nana Akufo-Addo regime, and for that reason, people campaigned on that and got the government off. Why a repeat of this? We don't want to see this phenomena rearing its ugly head in this new administration. So I would urge the government, for that matter, the minister in charge of this area, to put his foot down and ensure that we get to the bottom of this. How do things that have been confiscated by the state get missing? People are complicit, and those who are complicit, let's fish them out and deal with them according to law. Otherwise, this fight will not win it. But you and I want to win this fight, because there are a lot of implications if we continue to allow this, illegal trade activities taking place. Otherwise, the time will come, we'll have no Ghana, and we as human beings will not exist.
Well, we can now hear Hannah Bissiw on burning issues at Adom. For that video. Dr. Abedu.
Yes, sweetie, you see, whenever I hear about the good board, my dissertation, my PhD thesis coming to mind, because it was one of my recommendations.
Okay.
In terms of ensuring that illegal good trade or the trade of gold business, gold business, illegal business, dealings in gold is really dealt with. Because if somebody is producing or is extracting gold illegally, you do not expect the person to trade it legally, because the person knows that when I bring the product out of the illegal space, I'll be questioned. And so it became a chain, a whole chain of illegality, from the extraction, that is the mining, to the sales, and then it goes up. So that is why at a point it became more of a chain, right from the community level to the international level, because those who were involved in the illegal act also perpetrated at the international level, and then it trickled down. And so the gold board is very critical here, because it truncates the whole chain in terms of the extraction down to the end, the final end user, or the final person who demands the gold. And so the most important thing here now is for the gold board to sustain its effort, is for the gold board to ensure that those other interest holders who want to operate in the black market are curtailed and do not undermine the work that they are doing as a gold board. If not, then we'll go back to the old story. Remember, already the gold board is facing problems in terms of some people resisting their functionality, because the more the gold market is formalized, the more their business are also going to be, at a disadvantage. But that is exactly what we need, because the more the gold board functions, the more illegal gold production will also go down. However, I want to entreat the gold board that they do not also have to be overwhelmed in terms of the figures, in terms of the numbers they are getting, in terms of the fiscal benefits, in terms of the financial benefits we are getting from their office. It is important they are equally mindful. Sami Jeffrey and his team are equally mindful about how their office can promote sustainable mining. Sweetie, we have not yet costed the environmental cost of illegal mining in this country. Now, if we sit down to cost them very well in terms of the water quality and all the other ecosystem services and environmental issues that we have with illegal gold production or unsustainable mining, and then you juxtapose it with the benefit that we are getting in terms of the money, the foreign exchange, or the revenues we are gathering, you will know that really the net amount of revenue we are getting from the gold board is far below compared to the environmental. When you bring in the environmental cost. And so the gold board must be very mindful and intentional about ensuring that they promote sustainable mining, so that the gold that we get from the mining sector will be clean. Now, talking about, I wanted to talk about the licensing. It is important that we make the licensing very flexible and less bureaucratic, so that the very reasons which were discouraging miners from the very communities deep in the forest to have the necessary permits and also mine sustainably, it will be quite flexible for them to actually implement the tenets or the various expectations within the law. If we make the laws so rigid, if we make the law, the registration processes, the permitting processes so rigid, where people have to move from their communities or where they are mining to Accra and all the big towns to get their permits and all that, if you don't bring the processes to the local level, it will still be a challenge for them to get the needed support in terms of sustainable mining practices, in ensuring that they engage in their activities. And that will mean that they will have to go back to their old ways, where they do things without any due processes, without any law, without any sustainable interventions in whatever they are doing. And so we expect the gold board to really look at the environmental side of their operations to ensure that it becomes more sustainable and balanced.
Okay, Doc, where you ended, I would want you to continue, because we're now being told that some 40 excavators that were seized some few days ago, we cannot account for 33 of those. We want you to listen to this video by the administrator of the Minerals Development Fund, Hannah Bissiw, when she made that revelation on Adom FM. When we come back, I would want to pick your thoughts on that.
Ehona tie ehonom na meni prosini no commander ne kokontokwa no. Enti wo dia 7 enyan ne dia machi akosio.
40 excavators na. Ochi ya na wunya low bed no. Ade abechi onya low bed okọ e free 40 abana be ka 7.
Yes sir.
33 etimi afiri nwura o.
Yes, enti this time na me call at the time no die. Me the engineers call. Uniform and non-uniform, both military and police. A koi. And I miss Mrs. Shem, if it's an unknown to at you. Nancy Domule ambush. Tina Meka said, Menu Nama means Roshi. O Yodima Funyame. Enti, ya kono, ya near maybe na engineers and some of the track a bomb. Na my ye na yentimi movie no muso ehun se ye no factory na track and come enti omombo nimdie esi from no makeka na emesi
87 away.
The administrator of the Minerals Development Fund, MDF. Now, to paraphrase a bit of what she says that they went into one forest to seize 40 excavators. Now, the next day when they went, they couldn't account for 33 of them, that they only found 7. Because when they arrested the 40 excavators, they didn't have a low bed to transport them. So the next time when she was going there, she went with engineers, went with low bed, so that when they arrest, they're able to, to take away from there. But Dr. Biafol, I mean, you spoke about the fact that the gold board should also deal with the environmental pollution of illegal mining. Now, hearing that 33 excavators that out of 40 that were seized cannot be accounted for. We've seen this before. I mean, why does this keep coming back? Is there something we should do that we are not doing right? And that's why we embolden people to have that capacity to, get the excavators to fly when we cannot take them to wherever we want to, conceal them until we are ready to pick them for whatever need we want to use them for.
This is exactly the reason that I, for example, have always been advocating for a very radical approach in terms of dealing with small-scale mining, illegal small-scale mining activities in this country. Look, it tells you how entrenched, it tells you how robust the whole framework for promoting or to ensuring that the illegal mining activities are sustained irrespective of what government does. And of course, I'll talk about government, who is even government, and how is even government involved in this whole, or contributing to this whole condition of entrenched illegalities within the small-scale mining sector. Look, there are lots of interest in small-scale mining. We must accept this and take it as it's a fact. There are a lot of interest in small-scale mining. The interests are not just concentrated or centered at the community level. It's not just about that young man, that young woman out there in that small village who we think is hungry and is therefore looking for gold to survive or as a means of livelihood. It is no more like that. There are so many other interests, from investment interest and from trade interest, wealth creation interest. And so gold mining in this country now is just about people trying to seek for wealth and not just about people being hungry. And so a lot of accomplices come into play. A lot of influential people come into play. A lot of powers come into play. And that is why we are we are always having incidences like this. Can you imagine a whole excavator? Then you tell me you cannot find it. Who drove it to where? On which route? Okay. So at the end of it all, you have to appreciate that there are forces, there are very powerful forces behind all that is happening within the illegal small-scale mining sector. And so the earlier we appreciate this, the earlier we accept this as reality, the better for all of us. If not, we'll keep on whining around while the problem still persists. However, I will not be comfortable to talk about the persistence of illegal small-scale mining because the consequences are increasingly becoming very dire for us, and there's a need for us, there's a need for the president to take a very decisive and very bold decision and then shake the foundation, the very fundamentals of the way the miners operate, the scheme around this whole small-scale mining thing, and ensure that we move away from the approaches that we've been using so that we can have a very sustainable intervention. If not, we'll still have a challenge. I remember when the president talked about banning importation on, putting in a ban on importation of excavators. One of the issues that I asked myself is, look, these small-scale miners have developed very robust systems. They are always looking at innovative ways in ensuring that their activities continue. Now, whilst you ban the importation of these excavators, trust me, they are going to devise other strategies to ensure that they still go into the forest and mine. And this is what is happening now. And so we need to be very, very radical and ensure that whoever or whichever people who are behind small-scale mining in this country are apprehended and the needed, the appropriate legal punishment are resorted to them. If not, we'll keep on, cycling or recycling the whole problem whilst the impacts keep on, hitting on us.
Yeah. I'm sure he meant illegal mining. Yeah.
So, Dr. Jabri Mohammed and Kojo, yesterday, Rasus told us on the big stories that ministers, MPs, MCEs, the interest. I was asking who we're dealing with. Yeah. Is it a criminal syndicate? Is it, just a group of people who are refusing to back down? And he says that it goes deeper than we know. And so sometimes you talk about this and you know that they're listening, they know the gravity of the situation, but we just twiddle our thumbs. Dr. Mohammed, so, on the issue of the Gold Board new licensing regime, 33 out of 40 excavators missing, and the effects on our environment. Let's hear your take for us now.
Well, first of all, the Global said that they have mobilized within the last 6 months. They've been able to mobilize about $5 billion.
Yes.
The question I ask is that we have international mining companies, we have local mining companies. So within the two, what is the amount of money that international mining companies has contributed to the $5 billion? And what is the amount of money that the locals have also contributed to the $5 billion? And how is these resources having an impact on the local economy? That is a question that we should be asking ourselves. Is it that that money is coming in, and that is why we are having our CDP being appreciated? Also, are we going to make some savings so that we can retire some of our debt that we have accumulated over the period? Is the effect going to be so pronounced that we are going to have a very good, very direct impact on the lives of the people as Ghanaians? Now, on the issue of the licensing, yes, we are advocating for decentralization of the licensing, where you have to allow that the license is being brought to the people, the very people who need it, so that we can properly regulate it. Yes, that is a very good call to make, because you cannot keep them far away from where the people are. But in as much as you can keep it far away from them, distance shouldn't be a problem. That doesn't mean that we should not allow them to pass through the right procedure. It shouldn't be that people who cannot even do the work will go and take the licensing and go and give it to foreigners, and foreigners will come and do things without our regard. Sometimes we allow for local content, but at the end of the day, the locals go for it and allow the foreigners to come in and destroy our environment. Most of the destruction that we are seeing, if you see the video that Bissiw went and seized the excavators, you will see that there are a lot of Chinese over there. Even one of them was even drinking water. Then she decided to collect the water and say, go and drink the water that you have destroyed. And to me, these are things that we do. You see, you take the license and go and sell it at a peanut. And the environmental cost of it, so I'm tying it to the environment. The environmental cost of it is very dicey, as noted by Dr. Bedi. You realize that, yes, what is environmental accounting? If you do the environmental accounting out of it, what is going to be the quantum of benefit? So you have to weigh your marginal benefit against your marginal cost. There is something we call net present value. What is going to be the net present value at the end of the day? And especially, if our people are participating in the mining, if the state is participating in the mining, what is going to be what we call the expected monetary value? Is the expected monetary value going to be positive? Is the expected monetary value going to be negative at the end of the day if you participate in destroying our environment? Obviously, if you participate in destroying your environment, the expected monetary value is going to be negative. So at the end of the day, whatever we are going to do, we are not going to have the full benefit out of it. So the regulations are supposed to be looked at holistically so that we'll be able to examine to ensure that at the end of the day, whatever benefit we are receiving as a country outweighs the negative consequences of the mining. And for me, the Gold Board serves as an institution that is going to be a regulator and at the same time a revenue mobilizer for the country, and which for me, it is the best thing that can ever happen to the country. And I also continue to entreat them that we need to ensure that the law is applied to the letter. The police, the army, and whatsoever that we may have to use to ensure that we apply the law to the letter, we do it. Now, on Bissiw, final input on Bissiw issue. You see, you go there and you arrest the people. You have arrested them, all right. You have taken the excavators. What prevented us from providing a 24-hour security surveillance on the place? What prevented us from doing a small, these days you can even plant a small, a small cameras over there, and you sit in your home and you regulate it. It can happen. You can just use some solar somewhere and plant the cameras around it, if it is even in the bush, so that you can watch over whoever at all is picking the excavators away. Yes, but there are powerful forces involved in this particular process. If there are no powerful forces involved, both NDC and MPP are victims of Galamsey. They are both victims of Galamsey because all of them are profiting from it and using it for their own selfish political interests.
Right.
There is no doubt about it.
Okay.
Otherwise, the very day that President Mahama was sworn into office, we will have ended Galamsey. Why is it that we still have it and excavators are missing? It means that there is a political undertone and there is a benefit that all of them are receiving as a result of it. So the earlier we both fight it together, the better we can do so.
Thank you, Dr. Bissiw. And Kojo, I want to get into some stories on the new publisher now. I'm going to lump, I think, 3 stories. It's all politics anyway. MPs to start speaking Ghanaian languages in Parliament. Apenyo Markin leads NPP to national prayer and thanksgiving. And Duncan Williams prayed for Ghana. He says we must travel to chill, not to hustle, as in travel abroad. Don't jackpot to go and hustle and come back. Go there and go and chill, experience whatever it is you want to go and see there and come back. But what's interesting is his call for a holistic national development plan, so that while we are resetting economy, resetting Ghana agenda, we are tying it to a more permanent, long-term development plan that successive administrations can also follow, so that that system we have where one party comes into office and they abandon projects and programs from the other part, the erstwhile administration can stop. So, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, I want to start with you on the issue of parliamentarians to soon be allowed to speak their local languages in Parliament, on Apenyo Markin's demonstration of leadership, leading the NPP delegation to the National Day of Prayer, and quick reflections on what Duncan Williams is saying about we should travel abroad to chill and not to hustle. These are just the major stories here, so I'll end it there.
Right. I'll start with the MPs and the Ghanaian languages in Parliament. It's a difficult one because we have official language, which is English language, which is used. However, if there is somebody who want to be in Parliament and he or she is out of reach of this language, official language, he can communicate in the language he understands. There's that provision in Parliament where we have to get an interpreter who will do the work and all that. If you are asking Ghanaian language to be spoken in Parliament, which of them are you going to allow it to be used as official language and all that? It's a very difficult one, and I think the linguist will tell you more about this. I believe that what we have is the official language of English. Let's use it. But if somebody is elected and cannot speak English, there's that provision that the person can be in parliament and have an interpreter who will support him. So we can work with that. Unless, of course, we want to extend the conversation to other areas where we want to encourage our children to speak local language. That's a different conversation altogether. Then travel to chill. In other words, to have fun and not to go and then see greener pastures. A good call. But if we don't work at it, we will not achieve anything. The first question is, why would people want to leave their comfort zone and go to a place where conditions are very difficult? It's not their homeland and the rest of them. Certain push factors push them out. Those are the things we need to address. Issue of unemployment. We look at the party's manifestos since 1992. They all talk about this. How far have we addressed this problem? The problem continued to linger in this society and create all manner of problems for us. And politicians, all that they do is pay lip service to it. We are not interested in working at the figures, reducing them. And all the time, we just, handle it in a way that we can get some figures, throw them out and all that. But the real issue continues to exist. Anytime I go to my class, level 100 at UJ campus, they are over 1,400, divided into groups of 4 and all that. But even that 4, I ask myself, when these people finish school, where are they going to work? You have city campus about 300 or so. You have distance about 600 or so. You are talking about over 2,000 students, political science level 100, both city, main campus, and distance. Where are they going to work? So work, employment must be critical. We must create jobs. And so it requires that we think outside the box, create jobs, and it will be able to attract people to stay home. Then we should have policies that those who want to even go out, the state have spent a lot of resources in them. How do we get them back? We can even export people, and then the state generate revenue, as if we are bereft of ideas. And that, for me, that is where the challenge is. So yes, we can make the call, but if the things that push them out of this country, if we don't address them, I'm afraid the call will be just an empty call.
Doc, isn't it why government must focus on helping the private sector to increase the jobs that are being created? Because government alone cannot employ all of these people, but the private sector can. Not so.
What? Yes, you have said it right. But what is preventing the government to support the private sector? These are the hard questions that government must answer. And you and I also. Then, of course, we must also help people to develop entrepreneurial skills. Last year, 2023, thereabouts, I realized as soon as we decided that we'll go for IMF funding, I realized that our students are going to be hot because government, you are not going to get job in government sector and all that. I talked to EU and then decided that if they can support our students to have some entrepreneurial skills, some experience, so that when they leave University of Ghana campus, they can begin to do something. And the EU turned to them. They supported me, came in their numbers, showed us, brought people who have gone through the process and all that to come and share experiences, provided opportunity and all that. I believe that we should take this conversation a notch further and build capacity of people, that we don't rely on government alone, but we can also create our own jobs, and then we lessen the burden on government and then the society. Let's look at the issue of national
development plan. I think it's tied to the National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving. Duncan Williams said,
National Development Fund.
Yeah.
Yes. It is a good thing we are talking about. And the man of God was telling us that we should be using the development plan of this country. I recall, I think Professor Mills' era, Professor Bedu Akusa and Co., they did about 40-year development plan. It is sitting down there, and who is using it? I would have thought that the political parties, when they are drafting their manifesto, they will get ideas from it. All their manifestos must be born out of that plan, so that it is in sync, it is in tandem with the development of this country. But we allow them to draw anything outside it And then when they come, they are not able to even implement it and all that. And we can't even hold them to account. I think all these projects, we must have a way of synchronizing them and making sure that anybody who wants to rule this country, you draw your ideas and your programs from the National Development Plan so that we can track. Because some of them, they tell us, and you realize that the mathematics of it, they don't have it. It's not workable. But the National Development Plan, what is in there, has gone through the mill. And then it is scientific in nature that you can track and all that. We have left this thing, but remember, people get the kind of leaders that they deserve.
Well, Dr. Abedu, let's build from where Dr. Asante ended. Now, about getting political parties to make sure that they develop their manifestos out of the National Development Plan. How do we do it? Because I remember some time ago, the argument was would make sure that political parties develop their manifestos out of the NDPC's plans that they develop. But nothing has happened. How do we compel parties to do that?
I think you're muted, Doc.
So I said intentionality, intentionality, intentionality. If we are serious about developing, we don't have to make noise about having an integrated system for developing our country through or using a robust plan. I mean, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. That is a basic management principle. And so if we are failing to plan and adhere to the plan, then what is the point of saying you even have a vision or you have an end goal? You see, planning involves setting goals. Planning involves putting resources together. Planning involves allocating resources. Planning involves allocating responsibilities. Planning involves controlling activities and also checking deviations and making sure that errors are corrected. Now, if we are serious about this country in terms of we want to ensure that people's lives are better and get all our indicators right in the next 40 years, 30 years, or 50 years, we need to have an end goal and then ensure that all our actions and inactions, all our activities, all our policies are guided by that long-term vision. And you see, that vision ought to incorporate all the interest or input from the various stakeholders within the country so that when MPP is in power, MPP knows that I was involved in the development of this plan. And so it is not problematic or it will not be a difficult thing for me to pursue this plan. And then so will be for the NDC. But then the problem in this country is...
Sorry for cutting you, but I mean, the point about making sure that all the parties are guided by a national development plan, we've had those kind of discussions over the years, yet nothing seems to change. And I'm asking, what can we do to compel these political parties to say, once we spend resources in developing the national development plans, you can't have any option than to develop your manifestos to be in tandem with those plans?
Yeah, see, it's all about leadership. Because even if you entreat the political party to, let's say, sign on a certain agreement or pact to say that if you come to power, you must follow this plan, and then the party comes to power and does not follow the plan. The question is, in terms of our laws, what can we do to such a political party or such a government? Are you going to impeach the government? The only option you may have is to look at the next elections and then tell the person or tell the government that, look, you didn't follow the plan, so move away. And so the most important thing here is about leaders accepting that we all need to adhere to it. You see, if we don't drive the right leadership, the laws may be there, all right, the pacts may be there, all right, the intention may be there, all right, but then they'll still do their own thing just because of their own interest. And that is where the issue of interest also comes in, because that government or that person, that leader who is not adhering to that plan that we have developed, what is informing that? Why is that leader or the government not following the plan? Is it because it doesn't suit the interests of some other persons that he feels he needs to satisfy, or he or she needs to satisfy, or certain groups that he or she needs to satisfy, and that the more such groups are satisfied, the plan's intentions will be undermined? We need that leadership. We need that dedicated leadership. Leaders who think about us, leaders who think about the development of the country, leaders who are very selfless and want to work for all of us. Until that time comes, we will still draw the plan. It will just be a paper, but the implementation will always be a mirage.
Wow.
Well, I think that there's more we can do than wait for 4 years, could you?
Yeah.
I was watching BBC, House of Commons, debates welfare reforms, you know, and it's just that it was so beautiful to watch, the intelligence of the argument, you know, the way they're asking questions that require practical answers and solutions. Eventually, they put it to a vote, but we've lost Asa Asante. I do want to bring this story to attention because it says something about job creation in private sector. There's a story on the back page of BNFT, and it says, WeCom Agri Media and Consultancy launches inspired by WeCom. And it's a, you know, some sort of media or an initiative to fill the gap between what we're talking about, the academic, transferring from academia to industry. So they're saying that they're collaborating with New Age Agri Solutions and FVV Foods and some other to develop Inspired by WeCom, a curated experiential agricultural learning platform that provides participants with real-world look into the modern agricultural value chain from farm to factory, which means agriculture doesn't seem so far away from you. You can see for yourself exactly what's happening so that we can begin to build interest for young people to also take up agri. We all agree that agriculture is the backbone of the economy. So I think this is worthy of commendation. And just a little quote here, it says, our aim as an organization specializing in agri-communication and consultancy is to help bridge the gap between agriculture and its stakeholders, like I was saying. And let me add one more story, and then I'll come to you for your quick reflections. They're saying GMA stakeholders unite against harassment at sea. But I want to also add the story of COVID-19, the resurgence. Gentlemen, when you are giving us your take, please add that, whether or not you are convinced that we shouldn't be panicking at this point. Government to unlock 6 billion Ghana cedis in concessional loans for MSMs, medium and small enterprises. So that's the stories on the BNFT this morning. Let me start with you, Dr. Mohammed. It's been a while I heard from you. Have you had your take on these stories yet? The stories from Kojo's paper?
You know, you have forgotten about me. So.
My bad. Please go ahead. Yeah. Okay,
so on the National Development Plan, I think that we really need to have a holistic plan. I still argue that the plan is necessary. The problem is that we need to go back and review all the plans that we have had. What has been the success stories of some of the plans, and what has been the failures of some of the plans? What must we do so that we can bring in a holistic plan that will be acceptable by all the political parties? You see, sometimes the one party feels that one party is just sitting down and drawing the plan and wanting all of us to utilize it as a national development plan. Are we having a consensus plan? Is it that the people from MPP, NDC, civil society organization that come together to draw the plan, in as much as we want the National Development Planning Commission to coordinate, this is a plan that is going to be implemented by everybody. So you need to bring everybody on board and allow all of us to draw and see that these are the gaps in the country. And this is how we are trying to close the gap so that at the end of the day, we can have a holistic development. The development must emanate from the people. You cannot be, development is in different ways. It's not just only infrastructure development, even cultural development is a development. So if the development do not emanate from the people, you just sit somewhere in Accra or somewhere in a hotel and draw a plan and throw away to the people will not implement the plan. It is the people who are going to implement the plan, but not you. So let's allow the development to come from the people. Let the people participate in the drawing up of the plan they want to achieve. in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years. Let them draw the plan. You know, in the next 30 years, what we may be needing in the next 30 years may not be what we are needing today. So let's try to design a plan that will be sustainable, that will cover the needs of today and cover the needs of the future generation. These are the things that we need to do. And secondly, on parliamentarians speaking on local languages in parliament, I was just having an argument with somebody the last time. You see, an MP got up to read, and the reading was even so difficult for the person to do. So what that means is that in as much as he may not be so fluent in the English language, that doesn't mean that the brain doesn't work. The brain works in different ways. Allow the person to express himself or herself in the local dialect. Like my former lecturer said, get an interpreter to give an overview of what the person has said. If you go to the law court and the person cannot speak English, there is an interpreter for the person. So it should not inhibit anybody from picking up a responsibility in parliament because the person does not have that language. The language barrier is there. It shouldn't be so. It should be that the person understands his locals and he wants to represent them in parliament. And if the opportunity is given, that person can actually contribute significantly to national development. Now, on the issue of, what do you call it? Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is very important. You cannot go without it. And agri-based entrepreneurship is becoming one of the key things. You go to the supermarket, you see that there is a well-packaged cabbage, a well-packaged, what do you call it?
Product?
Yeah, carrots, all those kind of things, onions, etc. Look, it will surprise you if you go to the mall and you buy a cabbage or you buy a green pepper or whatever it is. It sometimes even keep a long time than going to the market where it is exposed to the atmosphere and you buy it and you bring it. You put it in your fridge and you start drying. But anything you buy from the malls and other places is time tested and it is properly, prepared. So if you have a particular chain of agribusiness where from the farm produce straight to the market or straight to the shops and other things, people will buy. There is a lot of food insecurity in this country. You go to an area, there is not even a single mini mall that all these things are being sold because now we are increasingly becoming, a lower middle income country, and people want to eat healthy food. So if we have all of these things and we have some of the shops being open in good environment, good areas, I don't have to drive far away to go and see a mall to buy anything.
All right.
Within my neighborhood, I can easily have access to them. And finally, on concessionary financing that we spoke about, loans are good, but they must be put into proper use.
Okay.
We cannot continue to go in for the loans and we don't utilize them properly. If we don't do so, at the end of the day, we are just going to be an exercise of fidelity. At the end of the day, nothing comes out of it. So let's utilize our resources efficiently.
Okay.
That's our time, but we can get final words from Dr. Bissiw.
Thank you, Suti. I just wanted to comment on the admonishment from the pastor regarding we should chill abroad.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Quite interesting to hear that. The only problem I have is it's coming from a very renowned pastor like himself. And so, you know, the perceptions that Ghanaians have about religious leaders, some religious leaders, and the way some of them live extravagant life. So I wished it came from a different person, but I mean, beyond that, it's fine. But the more important issue is that, look, Ghanaians, we have a very bad culture when it comes to leisure spending. And that is the inputs I want to take from this. So I just want to use this opportunity to encourage Ghanaians that it's not just about traveling abroad to go and chill, but let's find time. Let's try to make good, proper leisure spending as part of our routine or daily planning. It's important for our health. It's important for our growth. But the twist of it is that you can chill within the country. Remember, the more you go out there to chill, to take pictures, you know, sending across and all that, you are indirectly promoting foreign tourism. Okay, so
Let's chill within. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Whilst we are,
so
we
we keep the money in the country.
All right, thank you. Kojo, that's our time.
Exactly. Yeah. There are beautiful spots in the country where you can really have good time to chill. I mean, look, the Volta region has some beautiful places that you wouldn't even, imagine. So let's chill within the country.
All right. Those who joined us for the conversation, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is a political scientist and the head for the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Dr. Jabri Mohammed is also a senior lecturer at University of Ghana Business School. And Dr. Pa Kwesi Ediaful Abeidu is a development analyst. And they join us to review the newspapers. And that's it for the newspaper review segment. Coming up next, we get into our big stories. Please stay.